Well, folks, what is happening? Welcome to Mentality Monsters, episode 28, and we are joined by the Irish League's Rolls Royce, Fuad Sule.
I'll take
Fuad, cheers for coming on.
No worries, mate.
So, as I said to you at the start there, I want to just dig into your life story and understand who you are, where you come from, and what has led you to where you are now.
Yeah.
You have a different kind of story compared to your average Irish League player.
Yeah.
Born in Nigeria, raised in Dublin, plays his trade in Belfast. It's a
International.
international. Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Same trim.
So, same truth here. It's very, I'm very true. So, can you take us back to the very start? Just tell us your upbringing and what it was like to grow up in Dublin. I understand you're from Tala.
Yeah.
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 So Tala, in itself, is a mad old area.
Yeah.
So what was that like for yourself?
Obviously, growing up in Tala, never easy. Kind of like a tough area, rough area. People in Dublin would know it as that. Kind of has a bit of a bad rep and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I think my mum, because obviously I lived with my mum at the start, and then obviously my dad moved over as well, and we lived together for a bit as well. But my mum obviously, kind of like an African parent, African household, quite strict. Obviously, in our household, there was one thing and one thing only, that was education. Education, go get your education and become a lawyer, doctor, or whatever it is, and stuff like that. And obviously, I kind of took to that because that's how I was raised, and obviously I went to school in Tala, then went to secondary school in St. Aidan's, was my secondary school, another kind of bit of a bad rep kind of school as well. You either went one way or the other. You either got your education and got out, or you went down the wrong path and stuff like that. But I decided to go down the right path and try to get as much as I could out of education as I could. And obviously I was playing football as well at the same time, but obviously not professionally, just playing for my local team and called Crumlin United. And obviously as you progress, as you get older, you start to get a bit more ambitious in what you want to do and the route you actually want to go down. So obviously there was a bit of a split decision in the household where my mum wanted me to finish the education off, get the degree and all that type of stuff, and obviously I wanted to play football professionally.
In university as well?
Yeah, I went to university as well. So
what were you studying?
Business and accounting.
Business and accounting.
So not the lawyer, but something that keep her happy. Do you know what I mean? And to be fair, I kind of enjoyed education because I'm quite smart and stuff like that. And I'm quite determined when I kind of set my heart on things and I want to do. I'm quite determined to get it done and stuff like that. But yeah, so obviously played for Shamrock Rovers, under 17s, played for St. Pat's under 19s, and then moved to Bow's first team. But at the same time, when I was playing for Bow's first team, it was kind of like a rough period. I was getting a lot of burnout and stuff because I was in full-time education in Maynooth University. I was playing full-time per se at Bow's because it was just at evening times we were in most days anyways, and I was working part-time in Clark's, so flat out. So I had to use kind of like the money I was making in Clark's and the money I was making at Bow's to kind of pay for my education and stuff like that. So I suppose I was kind of one of them ones that kind of had I planned stuff as I went along, planned different stages of my life and how I'm going to achieve the things that I want to achieve and stuff like that. And obviously working part-time and playing for Bow's was the only way I could fund my education, and I kind of did that.
See, growing up in those areas, in Dublin, there is it's the same as Belfast as well. There is a lot of crime and stuff like that there. Was there ever any challenges for yourself? Were you ever say invited to get caught up in activities?
100%. 100%. That's standard procedure in them kind of places. And like I said, when I was in secondary school, you either go one way or the other. I go back sometimes to where I was raised and where I grew up, and I see some of the lads that was in kind of secondary school where they're not in great shape, do you know what I mean? And they're not in the best kind of position in life and stuff. And I actually remember I went down, I think a month ago, because I try going down most weekends to see family and stuff like that. And I went down a month ago and I actually bumped into one of the lads that was in my class. And I was just chatting away with him, and he's he's just out of prison and stuff like that. So
yes.
Yeah, he's just out of prison. So
it's the route one way or another.
It's literally that. It's just one way or the other. You either go down the wrong path or try and stay kind of like true to what you believe and go down the right path, because it's easy to get peer pressured and stuff like that to drink, smoke, do drugs.
Would you have
stuff like
done?
that.
See, I know that you are like a devout Muslim. Like you are very serious about your faith.
Yeah.
Would you have ever drunk at that time, or have you ever drunk?
No, I've never drank alcohol in my life.
Unreal.
People just see when we go on nights out and stuff like that with my teammates or my friends and stuff like that. People do be so shocked that I've never ever drank alcohol. I don't even know what it tastes like and stuff like that.
How do you
I've
deal
never
with drunks? No, like, because like when you go out sober,
Yeah.
and like someone is burning the air of you,
Oh,
you're just
yeah,
sitting there
yeah,
going,
yeah,
yourself, oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit immune to it now because I'm so used to
Used
it. And especially when you're living in Belfast and you play for Glentoran, you do obviously bump into Glentoran fans on night out and be like, oh, can we get a chat, stuff like that. But like I said, I'm just kind of immune to it now. I just take it for what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's my decision to not drink, and they're the consequences of not drinking
100%.
is that people might think that they're just having a chat with you, but it might get a bit long and pushed out a bit.
Yeah.
You end up saying having a chat with somebody in the toilet, and you're in the toilet for half an hour because they won't let you leave and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So
I'd say you get a lot of that, because the Glens fans are probably the most passionate fans, I would say, in the Irish League. Like, the massive following. Like, it is,
big
like, it
following.
is a massive club.
Nah, it is. So when you're on nights out, you honestly 9 times out of 10 you'll bump into a Glentoran fan. 9 times out of 10, and I'm quite distinctive. I know I've been on nights out with like a few of my pals, like Junior, that used to play for Glens and stuff like that, and he could kind of blend in because I'm quite distinctive, bald, beard, do you know what I mean, and small, do you know what I mean, and obviously when you play on TV, a lot of people see you and stuff like that, and so I get spotted straight away, do you know what I mean, and it's hard to kind of get away from it, do you know what I mean. Sometimes I have to wear hats and stuff like that. But
that was one of the questions we got asked on the Instagram. We're just like, for a player of your height, you win like 99% of your like headers. Like, is it just sheer determination that does that there? Or?
Do you know what it is? I've always been decent in air since I was young, do you know what I mean? And obviously quite small in stature and stuff like that. But I suppose the way I trained and stuff like that, and when I was developing, when I was getting older and stuff like that, and my gym programming and stuff like that, I kind of trained to be, if I'm not going to be the tallest, at least I'm going to try and be the strongest and the best in the air and the fastest and stuff like that, and try and make up for the disadvantage I have in kind of like playing against taller players and stuff like that. But I suppose it's about time and determination, how bad you actually want to win the header.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what heading comes down to be honest.
See, growing up in Dublin at that time, so you moved over to Dublin, would have been, so you were born in 97, aren't you?
Yeah.
So probably about 2001.
Yeah.
So see, like around that there time, I would say there wasn't a lot of people being brought up Muslim. In the round Tala especially.
Yeah.
How hard was it for you? Like, did you ever feel that you couldn't practice your faith, or was it something that you never had an issue with, really?
To be fair, I've never actually had an issue with my religion. I think my religion helped me stay on the right path.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's things that you can't do as a Muslim. Drinking, smoking, doing drugs, stuff like that. I think that me having a belief in that's not what I'm supposed to do helped me not do them things.
Yeah.
It was an extra factor to not be able to kind of like be peer pressured into doing them kind of things, you know what I mean? But like I said, obviously growing up as a Muslim, there wasn't many Muslims in my area, not many Muslims in my secondary school or primary school, whatever. So again, sometimes you might stick out like a sore thumb and stuff like that in terms of like your kind of beliefs and what you believe in and things and you should do and don't. But it never really had an issue with it, to be honest. Never really kind of like got taunted for it. Never really.
People were respectful.
Yeah, people were respectful, but I don't go around screaming from the top of my lungs that I'm a Muslim. Do you know what I mean? But if somebody asks the question, "What religion are you?" I'm going to be honest and be like, "Oh, I'm a Muslim. I'm a practicing Muslim and stuff like that."
I think like see people that are into their faith or like are strongly into their faith. They're very like self-disciplined. In terms of what they do and they know what's right from wrong. Where people that aren't really as into their faith. Lack discipline, and I think that's one big benefit that faith does give you 100%. is I'm self-disciplined. See, for you growing up, because obviously in school you applied yourself by the sounds of it. You were into your education. What was your mindset like, and your self-belief to where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do? See, did you have a vision at that age of where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do?
Nah, definitely. Like I said, I'm a very organised person in terms of like I organise things the way I want it to be and stuff like that, and I kind of plan things out and my journey out and how I want things to happen and stuff like that. So when I was in secondary school, don't get me wrong, I wasn't the goody two shoes. Like
Yeah.
I got in a lot of trouble in terms of like being a messer because I'm a
Yeah.
bit of a jack the lad and stuff like that. But when it actually came down to education and put my head down and put my head into the books and knowing what I wanted to get out of secondary school, I kind of prioritized that. Do you know what I mean? When the lads were going on nights out, when we were quite young, 12, 13, 14, 15, you know, your teenage years, lads were going on nights out, drinking, doing all this, you know, this stuff. But I was kind of in the house, kind of studying and then just putting my head in the books and trying to get, because obviously I know, look, the household I come from, it's not from we were never far from rich or far from well off and stuff like that. So I kind of knew my mum had to kind of like work 2 or 3 jobs to kind of like put me in education
your opportunities.
and to give me my opportunity. So that kind of was, and along with my religion and my faith and the rights and wrongs, that kind of drove me into wanting to get the best out of the education, because I knew obviously we're all in a system, do you know what I mean? You get your education, you go to uni, you get a 9 to 5 job and you earn money, and that's just the way it is, do you know what I mean? It's just a cycle. And so I kind of knew that was the cycle, and I kind of knew that, okay, to pay my mum back in the things that she did and stuff like that, that would probably be the kind of the most standard route to go down. But obviously at the side as well, I was playing football and obviously I was decent at it and stuff like that. So that, along with the education, was my way to say, yeah, I'm going to get the best out of my life and going to get the best out of my career.
What was the biggest lesson you learnt from growing up in Dublin?
The biggest lesson I learned growing up in Dublin is to be your own person.
Be your own person.
Be your own person. Because like I said, it's so easy. Honestly, you wouldn't believe it. Because of your surroundings, what you're surrounded by, the people you're surrounded by, it's so easy to fall into that trap of following the crowd and being a sheep. And I tend to be my own person in the way I do things in life. In all aspects of my life, I kind of do things the way I want to do it. And I think that's probably the best advice I can give anybody in life anyways, never mind where you're from, is if you be your own person, then you hold yourself accountable to any actions you take. So, I mean, you know that you made your own decision off your own back, and there was no influence of any other people that made your decision for you. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's like, it's very important to hear stuff like that there, because a lot of people would kind of use the excuse of being a product of the environment you're brought up in, but again, it's all about how you apply yourself, making yourself accountable for your actions. I think that's one thing that a lot of people kind of look elsewhere and try to look for external reasons to blame why this didn't go wrong, go right, or this didn't go right. But if you're accountable and you can actually take learning from certain situations, I think you can learn very quickly and move on very quickly, and not use stuff like that or being a product of your environment to explain your circumstances. Just hold yourself accountable and do your best, and you can kind of do anything really.
Yeah, 100%. I think there is an element of being a product of your environment. There is I'm not dismissing that fact at all, because, like I said, 6 or 7 of your mates are going on a night out or whatever. You're in a group of friends. It is tough to be like, nah, do you know what, boys? I don't fancy it. I'm gonna stay at home and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, some people's mental strength to be able to make them decisions aren't as good as others. Do you know what I mean? So it is quite easy to kind of fall into the trap and say, yeah, right, lads, come on, stop the books, we'll go out and stuff like that. But I suppose playing football allows you to be accountable, because you're accountable for your own performances. You're accountable for what you produce on the pitch every weekend, because you're playing football. Obviously, it's a team sport, but your performance adds to the team's performance, to the result that you get at the end of the day. So, like stuff like losing a man from a corner, or do you know what I mean, not performing to the best of your ability, you have to be accountable for that. I think that helped as well. I think accountability is a big thing in life, and obviously, because at the end of the day, we all have one life and we all live it to the best that we can, and we all make decisions, and I feel like every decision you make in life has a consequence, good or bad. So
100%.
You have to be accountable for them consequences, I suppose.
See, I'm like a big firm believer in choices and consequences. And choices and consequences, like every choice you make is going to have a consequence and affect someone or yourself
100%.
in some way. Going into your academy life, so obviously you were at Crumlin and then you were at Rovers and then St. Pat's. What made, so you played one game at the end of the season for St. Pat's, is that correct? Against Derry. And then you ended up going to Bows. How did that move to Bows happen for yourself? Because obviously if you're you're getting on the last game of the season. You're going yourself maybe next season.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a shout in the first team. How did you get to move the Bows?
So when you're in and around the first team, because I was training with the Pats first team for the whole year, that whole season, and when you're in and around the first team and stuff like that, you're kind of, and you haven't been playing regularly.
Yeah.
The last game of the season is the game that, depending on what you have to play for, the last game of the season is usually the game where all the young lads play. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously it's the last game of the season. If you have nothing to play for, might as well fire them in, see what they're good at, see what they're like. Did really well in the last game of the season. Played against Derry. Obviously, first game I think I was 18. Done really well, and obviously in the League of Ireland, obviously their season is different to ours. Their off season is from November to January, so you have a kind of like a long period to negotiate with other clubs and what you want to do and stuff like that. And obviously had conversations with the manager at that time, Liam Buckley, about staying on. He said he wanted me to stay on, but it could have been easy for me to stay on because I was a Pats at maybe 3 years at that point, so I was comfortable. I was kind of like knew everyone, they knew me and stuff like that. I knew how everything operates, so it could have been easy for me to be like, yeah, do you know what, I'll just stay on. But I kind of said, nah, do you know what, I want to go and play. And at that time, Bows were playing young players and getting young players, probably not earning the most money, but obviously opportunity, and then you do well, you take your opportunity, you can end up earning whatever in the future. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I kind of, the money I got offered at Pats was way more than the money I got offered at Bowls, and so I was like, okay, do you know what, I'm gonna put ambition first instead of money and stuff like that, and go and play 19, 20, go and play as many games as I can. And what kind of helped the Bohemian case was my cousin played for them, so he obviously kind of spoke to me and he was like, look, come in, play, get your games.
He tapped you up.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. In modern day, that's what you would say. So he was kind of a big factor in me going to Bowls and stuff like that. But obviously, I did have offers from other clubs. But when I met with Keith Long, who was the manager at the time, and he was like, "Look, I don't care how old you are. In my eyes, if you're old enough, you're good enough. If you come in and you hit the ground running, you'll play." And that's what I wanted.
And you did.
Yeah.
That first season, you were only there first season, was it?
Yeah, one season. Yeah.
Because I read it like just online when I was doing the research for this year. You got Young Player of the Year in the League of Ireland, and then Bows Player of the Year as well.
Yeah.
See, for your confidence at that age, what did that do for you?
It was unbelievable. Obviously, at that age, 20, getting them kind of personal accolades was massive. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't all plain sailing that year. I'll be honest, because like I said, when I first signed for Bows, I was in full-time education. I was working part-time in Clark's, and I was playing for Bows, so it was tough on the body and stuff like that. Literally, there was no days off. Wednesdays would be our days off, and Sundays would be our days off for Bows. But then I was working in Clark's, so I wasn't resting. Do you know what I mean? I was flat out. Honestly, I had no time off. So obviously, sleep and recovery was kind of like big, and obviously studying for exams and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Just external things were kind of getting on top of me and stuff. So I didn't really start the best. I'll be honest. I didn't start the best there in terms of pre-season, and I don't think I was in the squad even the first 10 games of the season. I wasn't even in the match day squad.
What did you do to push yourself?
You know, I'm quite grateful for this conversation. I had a conversation with the coach at the time, Trevor. He was kind of very, very honest with me. He was brutally honest. He's like, look, you haven't done anything in the game. You're just a young lad. You kind of need to fix up, or you'll fall out of the game very quickly and stuff like that. And I was in front of a changing room of 25, 26 lads. Do you know what I mean? So this was like not a personal attack, but it was kind of like being called out in front of your teammates and stuff like that. But now that I look back at it, it was exactly what I needed.
To sink or swim.
Yeah. It was, to be honest. And I think it was psychologically, him and the management team wanted to see how I would react to that situation. Am I going to fold, or am I going to say, nah, do you know what? They're right. I'm going to push to the next level. And then obviously after that conversation, started training well, started doing really well in training. And obviously when you haven't been playing all season, a manager's not going to just chuck you into a league game. Obviously 3 points on the line. So it was a cup game. Leinster Senior Cup wasn't one of the big cups down south and stuff. So
that'd be like the County Antrim Shield.
Basically, yeah. So Fuad Sule in that game played really, really well, and he was very, very happy with my performance and stuff like that. And I think he was more happier with how I kind of took the information from the conversation that the coach had with me in front of the lads, and how I made that as fuel to perform.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was more impressed. Yeah, I think that's what he was more impressed with. And then obviously played in that cup game, and then that was on a Tuesday. Played in the league, started in the league on the Saturday. against Sligo, and then just played every game ever since then.
Unreal.
Yeah, and that was it.
See, at Bowes,
Yeah.
what do you think was the biggest thing you learned there? Like, see, just going from a cat, well, like obviously, and you played a bit for St. Pat's,
Yeah.
like, well, in that game, but see, going, say, from under 21s in the
Yeah.
senior men's football,
Yeah.
what was the difference in that there, and what did you learn from those encounters?
I'd say ruthless, more cutthroat. At the end of the day, just when you're playing academy football, it's obviously there is 3 points on the line, but it's not the same 3 points as playing men's football, where
Yeah.
people have to pay their mortgages, people have to feed their kids and stuff like that with the money they earn from those, and 3 points is important to them in terms of like finishing in certain places in the table to make more money or to get more money for their families and stuff like that. So I think it was more ruthless and cutthroat and more like, here, this is men's football. It's kind of like you said, sink or swim. And I think that would probably kind of be the big difference, to finding that transition of, okay, I'm not in academy football where
The real world.
where the coach is just going to be like, unlucky today, lads.
Yeah.
Well done. We'll go again next week. It was, like I said, the conversation I had with Trevor and in front of my teammates. It's stuff like that you wouldn't get at academy football, but that's just the way it was, and that's just the way it needed to be.
See, at any of the clubs you've played at, has there ever been, say, someone has made a mistake, maybe it's like a Barnet or Bowes, Larne, Glens, and someone you could tell that they needed that kind of, they were relying on, say, like a bonus or something like that there, and they were fuming after the match, like a win bonus or anything like that there. Like, have you ever experienced anything like that there?
Oh, that's standard procedure in dressing rooms. If boys have win bonuses, clean sheet bonuses, goal bonuses in their contracts and stuff like that, and we get, do you know what I mean? That's gonna influence how the bills they have to pay or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. Even though they might not say, in the back of your head that these boys are playing for something, and that's just the way it is. At the end of the day, irrespective of what club you play for at any level, what you get paid is gonna influence how you live your life. Do you know what I mean? Irrespective if you're on £100 a week or £1,000 a week, do you know what I mean? You have to live within your means, and if that extra £200-300 from a goal bonus, a win bonus, a clean sheet bonus gets you that extra £300, you're gonna be fuming if you can't get it. Do you know what I mean? And
100%.
and that's just the way it is. And again, that's the cutthroat side of it, and that's the ruthless side of it, is that people are actually paying for hard-earned money. Do you know what I mean? On a weekly basis, and if you feel like somebody's tossing it off or not putting in the effort that you are, then you're gonna get annoyed and you're gonna get pissed off, and you're gonna call them out and you're gonna have conversations. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. And the more you're in the game, the more you're in senior dressing rooms, you get to know that that's just a norm. That's not even a big deal at all. Do you know what I mean?
So after your first season at Bowes, you end up making the move across the water. How did that there materialise for you? And were Barnet the only club that came in for you at that time?
So it was honestly that year, it was the maddest year ever. You would honestly, I think I played 14 games, and on deadline day in the summer, Barnet came in for me on deadline day, and these 14 senior games, well, 15 if you count the Pats game.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, how's this happened? Like, obviously as a kid, you always dream of playing professional football in England and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what league it is, League 2, League 1, Championship or Premiership. I mean, everybody starts from somewhere. And obviously I was 20 at this stage, and I'm thinking I've only played 15 games, and already I'm getting calls about going here, going there. Do you know what I mean? And Barnet came in for me on deadline day in the summer of that year, and obviously it was just a bit late to get the deal done. Fee was agreed, personal terms were agreed, and all that type of stuff. So it was just kind of getting over there to do a medical and stuff like that. That couldn't happen, and the deal kind of fell through. And obviously, a bit disappointed, but it was a bit of a shock, because it was like the phone call was literally out of nowhere. I was in the office, because at this stage I was working at Enterprise Ireland, working in the office, and I was in the office when I got a phone call on a Friday from my agent at the time. I was like, look, I think you're moving here. I was like, what? Literally in the office, I was like, I think I'm moving here. And I'm thinking of, you're then juggling things around, thinking, how do I tell your ma? How do you tell the missus? How do you tell the office, the people you're working with, the office, that you could be gone tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? And that was literally, it was that quick that you could be gone tomorrow. And I was like, it was just a whirlwind and stuff like that. But obviously the move didn't happen. Disappointed as you can probably figure, and just played till the end of the season. But they just stayed in contact and say they wanted to make the deal happen. But I actually finished the season strongly. So when I did finish the season, there were 2 or 3 more clubs interested, but
all across the water.
Yeah. There was Peterborough interested. There was Leyton Orient interested, and there was It was actually Peterborough, Leyton Orient, and Barnet, and the Peterborough one was actually kind of quite close to happening, and they were obviously in a higher league than Barnet. They were in League One, Barnet were in League Two, but there was an FA Cup game, if I remember speaking to my agent. There was an FA Cup game, and Peterborough played Woking, who were in the National League, and the manager at the time, they lost to Woking. No, sorry, they drew at Woking, which was obviously kind of like a replay, and it was a big deal because the Woking were just in the National League South, I think, so they were like 2 or 3 leagues below.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. So the manager that actually wanted to sign me at the time got sacked off the back of that, and then the deal was off. And these are just the things that in football that you don't know that anything like this could jeopardize a deal. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously the deal was off because they would have brought a new manager, and he's probably not my kind of, and probably doesn't want me or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And Barnet, I just ended up going to Barnet at the end. Yeah.
Hey folks, what is happening here? Caine from Mentality Monsters, and it is sponsor time. Today's sponsor, we are in association with the Burger Club located on the Cliftonville Road. Whether you're a home fan of solitude and in need of a killer meal before or after the match, or you're an away fan travelling from across Belfast, Larne, Ballymena or further afield and looking for some quality grub, the Burger Club has got you sorted. With a wide range of burgers, load of fries and much more, the Burger Club is the place to be before and after the football. Pop in also for a quick beer and wings before and after the match is a must when you're on the Cliftonville Road. Big shout out to the Burger Club. Thank you very much for the sponsor today.
Well, had a wee break there. Just we were speaking about your move to Barnet. So life at Barnet itself, moved over at the age of 20, was it? What was that like, moving away from your family, and like, and what challenges did you face moving over there? Horrendous,
mate. Honestly, horrendous. Honestly, see, obviously, when you're growing up and stuff like that, lads are getting moves away at 16, 17, 18. Not that you're... Obviously, you're probably jealous because you're thinking, I want that to be me, and stuff like that. And you're thinking... And then they come back home, you're thinking, hell, if that's me, there's no way I'm coming back home. I'm leaving that opportunity. But then when you're actually in it, and the reality, you're in the reality, and it's you can actually... When I was over at Barnet, I kind of fully understood why some lads are saying, you know what, this is not for me, I'm going home, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just living. Obviously, it's not that far. It's an hour on the flight.
Yeah.
If you add airports and all that type of stuff, maybe 3-4 hours to get back home and stuff like that. But you don't get home often. Do you know what I mean? You don't get time off often and stuff like that. And living in a new country by yourself, 20 years of age, new way of doing things, new environment, new people, new people and stuff like that. And it was just quite tough to make that transition. Do you know what I mean? But I'm probably, maybe if I was playing regularly, that would have been a way to kind of make up for it. But I wasn't playing and I was feeling that way, so it just wasn't a good time for me in terms of football, because there was Barnet were chopping and changing their managers. I had like 4 or 5 managers in 6 months, mate. So it's like the manager that even signed me left. I made my debut on a Saturday against Crawley, and the manager that signed me was sacked on the Monday.
Lose that match?
Yes, we either lost or we drew. I think we lost 1-0, and the manager that signed me left on the Monday, and the new manager come in, doesn't know who I am, doesn't know where I'm from, doesn't care, to be honest, and rightly so, because he's there and the job is to keep us in the league, and it's going to be a bit cutthroat and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. It's dog eat dog, and it's not you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's I scratch your back, I might not scratch yours. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. And then I just didn't really enjoy it at all. Do you know what I mean?
Why do you think it didn't like work out there?
I think a lot of it was down to the fact that I wasn't playing. Let's be honest. I think if I was playing, I could have put the other stuff to the side. But the majority was the fact that I wasn't playing and stuff like that, and just the way the club was run and how they did things. And I think from the outside looking in, you're looking at the training ground, the stadium, their gym, and all that type of stuff they had. Their facilities were top notch, honestly.
Were they much different from League of Ireland
facilities?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Massive. Their facilities are ridiculous. They're elite level, like
club owned, or were they getting them off the council?
Nah, club owned. Yeah, club owned. Everything was on site. The gym, the training ground, the stadium, the medical center. Everything was on site. It was honestly. So when I was at Bowes and I went to view it and stuff like that, and they were giving me a tour of the club, you're seeing this, you're like, wow, this is a big difference.
Next level. It's
Next
step
level
up.
to what I'm used to. So that as well kind of like entices you to be like, yeah, I'm ready for this move kind of thing. But and then obviously you're actually in the club and stuff are a bit different. And exactly,
How
you
did
can't judge
you-
a book by its cover, I suppose. until
Like,
you're in there.
well, integrate into the squad. Was it hard to integrate it into the changing room?
Nah.
Being so young.
Nah, honestly, it wasn't at all in terms of the changing room because there was actually a lot of black players in that played for Barnet, a lot. And I mean a lot. And naturally, when you go into a new environment, you naturally gravitate towards people that you think you might.
It's human.
Like,
Like,
I mean, it's just human
instincts,
nature. If an Irish guy goes to England, he's naturally going to gravitate towards the Irish people
Yeah.
in the changing room, and that's just my natural instinct. Do you know what I mean? And the changing room was actually a reason why it wasn't as bad as it was. Do you know what I mean? Very welcoming. Lads were sound. Everything was bang on, and it was great. Good laugh, good banter, and stuff like that on a daily basis and stuff like that. And our changing room was quite known around leagues that we would have the banter and stuff like that, and changing room stuff like that. And players from other clubs would be like, "Oh, I love that changing room," and how you
Good
get,
characters.
yeah. Just good. We just have a good laugh and just good people in it, and just boys that were a lot of Jack the lads and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, from the footballing point of view, it was obviously I wasn't playing, and that was just the main reason why I wasn't happy, I suppose.
So you end up moving to Larne. Larne are in the championship, but Kenny Bruce has bought them over. And obviously they're signing to get the likes of Tomas and stuff off like Cliftonville, and you knew their kind of intent, what they're wanting to do, and you could kind of see the direction of what they're wanting to go in. But you being over already, like you've played in the League of Ireland, it's a good standard compared to the Irish League as well. And then you go over to League Two, you're thinking to yourself, fuck, right here, I've made them across the water. For yourself in your own psyche, because we discussed it there during the break about a lot of people would see someone go over to England and come back and think the field.
Yeah.
But for you, how did you wire your brain to make you think, right, this is an opportunity for me to get first team football first and also to showcase my talents? Did you expect to go back to Barnet, or were you coming back knowing that you were going to stay in Ireland itself?
I think the psychology behind what you said in terms of like coming back home and people thinking that you failed, that there's an element of that, especially when you've been there 2-3 years. But mine was a bit different. Mine was probably worse because I was only there for 6 months.
Yeah.
So people are probably thinking you've given up after 6 months kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Which is a much shorter time frame than lads that are over there for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that added a lot to the, I don't want to go back. Do you know what I mean? Because it's only been 6 months and stuff like that. But going to Larne, obviously you talk about Tomas, signing players like Tomas, Davy McDade, I think there was a few other lads as well. Like, I didn't know these people. Do you know what I mean? So I don't even know what clubs they played for, how good they were, or what the actual intent behind Larne was.
Had you ever heard
was-
of Larne before?
No.
No.
No, it was only off word of mouth and what people tell you, what Tiernan told me or what Kenny told me.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of like take them at face value and be
Yeah.
like, look, I trust what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? It might work out, it might not work out. You might be just lying to me or bullshitting or whatever. But I think at the time, I needed convincing, but I didn't need convincing at the same time because I needed convincing to go back over and kind of play in the championship. I think that was a big sticking point because I was like, I've played in the Premier Division down south. I've done really, really well. I've went on an upward trajectory to League Two. Obviously, haven't played. I haven't showcased my talent at that level. And the championship is even a lower level than I was in the League of Ireland, the Premier Division. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I was just like, there's no way I can do this kind of thing to myself. But I think that was my ego talking, and that was my pride talking, and maybe the embarrassment that came with coming home or whatever, like you say. But then I kind of sat myself down and said, look, this needs to happen because you're not going to play at Barnet. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to sit around for 6 months and not kick a ball, and you can lose a lot of confidence in that time frame. Do you know what I mean? You can lose a form. You can really forget how to play football. Do you know what I mean? I suppose. So I just kind of took a leap of faith, went over, trained the first day, and I kind of knew from the first training session. Obviously, at this point, I hadn't played other teams in the league. You were playing like the likes of the PSNI and stuff like that, and you're like people that don't even. They're coppers, like they don't even play football. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like
is it enough the confidence?
It's a reality check and stuff like that. But when I trained, I was like, oh, I think I made the right decision here because the training was a decent level.
And
Was a high standard because, like you said, they signed players from Premier Division teams. Do you know what I mean? And our remit was to get out of that league and stuff like that. So
just cruise that league as well, that there. And we were saying, like, just before the first time I saw you was in the Irish Cup against the Star.
Yeah.
Just played the Star, and like that there, like for me, that was a great day out. Like went out, a few drinks and stuff like that there. But that there was class. But you were like a Rolls Royce during that there. So like, see for you playing, like, how do you stay motivated going to the likes of, say, well, I don't think Newington were in the league, but the likes of Newington, or like you're going to these pitches where it's a pitch, there's no stands around it. Like how do you keep yourself motivated for those kind of matches?
Honestly, it was. I've never had so many reality checks in my life, mate. Honestly, I was like, what is this? I remember we played the Welders in their old pitch. Mate, I kid you not. The pitch was like that, bumps everywhere, right? And there was a point at the pitch, right, where I can't remember who was standing. I think it was Shane McElhenney. He actually plays for Glentoran now. Yeah. He was standing at a point on the pitch, right? And I was standing at another point, and we were the same height. And Shane is about 6'4". We were the same height, honestly. Because he was that low, the pitch was that bumpy, and I was like, what am I doing here? And the entrance of coming out was like you were coming out like a prison. It was just like, oh my God. I was like,
their pitch is good now.
Yeah, the pitch is unbelievable now, but back then, oh my God. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. Honestly, I was like, oh my God. But then you just kind of have to knuckle down and just wrap your head around and just kind of like be focused and single-minded that I'm here to play games, I'm here to play games, I'm here to play games. And just played as many games as I could, racked up as many minutes as I could. And then obviously in January time, Barnet wanted me to come back. They wanted me to come back from my loan because obviously they seen that I did well at Larne and stuff like that. But I didn't want to go back. I actually really enjoyed my time and obviously kind of made friends and wanted to finish the season out and stuff like that. I don't tend to kind of like move during kind of like winter times. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I just want to like finish what I've started kind of thing. And played until the end of the season. Obviously, like I said, we cruised the league by 15, 18 points or whatever it was anyways, and we won the league and got promoted to the Premiership. And January times, Barnet were playing they were playing hardball because they knew Larne wanted me to stay, and maybe they realised that
how long did you sign for?
My 3.5 year contract.
3.5 year.
3.5, so I was only 6 months into a 3.5 year deal. Everybody was like, you're mad, like, do you know what I mean? Obviously you're giving up that amount of money. Yeah. But I didn't care. Honestly, I just didn't care. I just wanted to go and play and enjoy my football again. And obviously in the January, Barnet wanted me to come back, Larne wanted me to stay, and they probably realised that Kenny had a bit of money and stuff like that, so they were kind of haggling over how much it was going to be and stuff like that. And it took till deadline day again for me to sign permanently. Yeah.
What do you think your kind of main frame would be, like your state of mind if you were recalled to Larne, and to Barnet? Yeah. Like, what do you think? Would you have been happy? Would you have just like got the head down? Yeah. Or do you think you would have kind of thrown the toys out of the pram?
I suppose I'm not like that. I suppose if the Barnet manager is telling me he wants me to come back, and the director of football is telling me they want me to come back, they want me to integrate back into the squad and stuff like that, then I can only take him at face value the same way I took Larne at face value for what they said. Do you know what I mean? But I just wanted to stay. I just wanted to finish what we started and obviously win the championship and win a trophy, I suppose, and get promoted to the Premiership and stuff like that. Because, like I said, I was enjoying the environment, I was enjoying the training, I was enjoying being around the lads and stuff like that. We had a good group of players and stuff, and I just feel kind of like wrote that chapter off and be like, look, it was the wrong move. At the time, I probably should have stayed another year in the League of Ireland, played another 40, 50 games, probably would have got a better move than that, you know what I mean? Because I was still relatively young. I would have been 21 at the time. But I just kind of, in my head, I know when to kind of like write things off, and I was like, look, I still have 3 years left in my contract. I think I'm just going to write that off and call it as a bad day in my head and be like, look, it's a fresh start and just fresh start in Larne.
So you ended up staying 5 years at Larne, so Premiership, Championship, 3 County Antrim Shields. Yeah. Why did you stay for so long? Did you think that you would have stayed that length of time at Larne, or did you fall in love with the club, or like what made you stay that long at Larne?
Obviously, you're on a contract, I suppose.
Did you sign a long-term deal?
Yeah, I signed a long-term deal when my loan finished at Barnet, and then obviously signed another contract. So that kind of, I'm under contract, and when you're under contract and the club doesn't want to get rid of you, you don't want to leave, you're going to stay there, do you know what I mean, I suppose. And I'm not the type to jump from club to club and stuff like that. And it was a great journey, to be honest. At Larne, obviously going from the championship, it was kind of like fairy tale stuff.
Yeah.
Just the way everything happened was there was no stands when I first got there. You win the championship, stands start getting built. You go from the championship to consolidate in a good position in the league. Obviously, COVID hits, and then you kind of do well. You win the County Antrim Shield, the first trophy for the club in 100 and something years, and then you get into Europe.
Means a lot.
Do you know what I mean? You
Like
get
even
into
a small
Europe,
trophy
and
like
it was
that.
just everything was just moving that way. It was just moving upwards in an upward
Yeah.
trajectory. So it was like when things are moving upwards, you want to be part of that. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And yeah, just kind of stayed as long as my contract was there.
Was it hard to sit back and watch this year with them getting into the group stages of the conference?
I'm not going to lie and say it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, because obviously you're thinking that could be me.
Yeah.
I've been a part of that and stuff like that. But again, like I said, there's always consequences to every decision you make, and the decision I made was to move on from Larne, and that was the consequences of missing out on that. Obviously, I still have a lot of friends there, and I was going to the games, rooting for them, and wanted them to do well. But there was obviously going to be that element of, oh, that could be me, and if buts are maybes, or if I didn't move, I could have still been da 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 da. Do you know what I mean? Just, but again, it's a load of ifs, buts and maybes. Like, do you know what I mean? If I had stayed there, they probably wouldn't have got there. So how do I know that? So
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, like things can, because I believe as well the butterfly effect. You know, like one wee small thing could make like a difference to the
100%,
outcome of anything really.
yeah.
One thing which I'd like to hear your opinion on is an All Ireland League. Do you think an All Ireland League would be possible, and if so, do you think teams would benefit from it, or it would be the death of smaller teams? Because you hear like a lot of smaller teams saying that they wouldn't be able to, because it would be good if you had like a 4-tier, because League of Ireland plays 10 teams, isn't it? And then the Irish League plays 12 teams.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense an All Ireland League. I think like imagine just going away, like we spoke to Jamie Robinson about it, like imagine going like Glens away to Cork.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Like you'd go down, you'd stay the night, all stuff like that.
It's
There,
all part of the experience. Yeah.
I think it would be unbelievable. But what's just your opinion on All Ireland League?
Oh, I think that'd be unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. I think it'd get bigger crowds. Obviously, if they could strike a deal with like a TV company to televise the games, that'd be big as well, and stuff like that. And I don't think it's ever going to happen now anymore. I think it was a pipeline dream kind of at that point, and I was actually rooting for it. I wanted it to happen because, again, you're testing yourselves against the likes of Rovers, Pats, Derry, all these type of players, Bowls, all these types of teams and stuff like that. And in terms of football quality, it would have really, really improved the standards on the island of Ireland. I suppose. But again, the smaller teams would have suffered, and there's always going to be cause and effect. There's always going to be someone not getting the rub of the green when certain decisions are made, and that probably would have been the case and stuff like that. But I think the League of Ireland being an all full-time league now, I think every team in the league is full-time now down south. So I don't think that's gonna happen again. But it would have been great. Like, it would have been massive. Like you said, going over to Cork, staying over hotels, stuff like that, camaraderie. It would be unbelievable. Like, obviously for refs as well, refing in them games. I mean, big games, big crowds. Like, imagine Glentoran playing Shamrock Rovers or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It'd be the amount of fans you would get, like, do you know what I mean? It'd be massive. Like, but I think the League of Ireland being an all full-time league now, I think that dream.
It's a way. But even like when you see League of Ireland teams play like Irish League teams, remember like Dundalk played Linfield and beat them 5-0, I think it was, and then Rovers and Larne. So I think it would benefit the Irish League an awful lot. But then you would have the arguments of who's the governing like bodies, the IFA, the FA, and you just go like it would cause a lot of snags. Like it would, but I think it would be unbelievable as well. Like,
It'd be great, but like there's just too many things have to fall into place for it to happen. Do you know what I mean? I think, like you said, the IFA and the FAI, how are the European spots gonna be given out, stuff like that? Do you know what I mean?
It's just, a lot of teams would lose out.
A lot of teams would lose out, and European money is massive for teams. Do you know what I mean? It's massive for their budget for signing players for the season after. So I suppose from that point of view, there was just too many things that had to fall into place and too many hurdles to overcome for it to happen. I think, again, it was just like a pipeline dream, I suppose, and if it happened, it would have been great. Like, I suppose us players would have loved it. Do you know what I mean? But is it realistic? I'm not too sure.
So you end up winning the league, and then you've got the idea in your head that you are wanting to go across the water.
Yeah.
But you end up signing for Glentoran.
Yeah.
What happens there? because I do know, like as you say there, with transfers, a lot of things can happen. There's a lot of things that affect it. What happened there with staying in the league?
I think that season at Larne we were doing quite well, and obviously I was playing quite well and stuff like that. And when you go down to the last 6 months of your contract, that's when if you're playing well, teams start reaching out through agents or whatever and stuff like that, and start saying, look, what's the story with him for next season and stuff like that. So obviously I was having them kind of conversations in January time, and I always said to Kenny and to Tiernan at the time that, like, we just won the league. Why in God's earth would I leave a team that just won the league? I wouldn't sign for another team in the Irish league. I remember saying that quite vividly. And like I said, that's just such as life. Like, some things just don't pan out the way you want them to and stuff like that. And obviously, like I said, down to the last 6 months, you're having these conversations. Obviously, you win the league, do well, play well, and stuff like that. And I think I was 26 at the time, so I'm thinking in my head, look, I'm 26, just off the back of winning the league, played a big part in it, done well personally and collectively as a team. My stock will not be as high again for me to get that move that I wanted. Do you know what I mean? It won't be as high as again because age-wise and stuff like that. And so I say, look, I made the decision not to re-sign at Larne because obviously I want to pursue a career across the water and stuff like that. And again, like I said to you, the ins and outs of transfers, until you're actually in a transfer, you won't know the actual what goes on and stuff like that. And at the time, I wasn't getting paid, obviously because I was out of contract. I had to kind of like just bite the bullet of not getting paid until things were sorted out. And then my agent at the time was like, look, it'll get sorted, and stuff like that. And there was 2 or 3 clubs that were quite close. I remember there was Leyton Orient that was quite close. I think it was between me and another player at the time. And these clubs have these lists of players of Target 1, Target 2, Target 3, Target 4. Yeah. If they don't get Target 1, they move on to Target 2 and stuff like that. And then I think it was a list of 6 midfielders, and it came down to me and another guy. And they just picked the other guy, and that was just it. Like, and that was the conversation I had with my agent. Said, look, they're going for the other guy.
As simple as that. There.
Simple as that. We're going for the other guy and stuff like that. So you're kind of like in the dumps a bit because you're thinking, I've left Larne here just off the back of the league. They're now preparing at this point as well. They were preparing to play in Europe, to play in the Champions League qualifier. So you're thinking that could be me. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So
choices and consequences.
And you're thinking, do I go back and stuff like that? Because obviously that door was always open. Yeah. Let's be honest. And then it happened. St. Mirren. I think that was common knowledge. It was in the papers everywhere. That St. Mirren was quite close as well. And
they said McManamy as well.
They said Connor at that time as well. And see the type of club St. Mirren are. They don't pay transfer fees of players. I was actually quite shocked they paid for Connor. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because notoriously they don't pay transfer fees, but they must have wanted Connor that badly, like, you know, because he was the best player in the league at the time. And I was having conversations with their director of football and stuff like that about money, wages, whatever, and stuff like that, and my agent back and forth. And the issue there was, I think this is my first time saying this on record, is that the issue there was a player that they were trying to get out. And the type of club they are, they don't have the same player, 2 of the same players in the one position. It's 1 in, 1 out. Do you know what I mean? You go, we sign somebody else, and they usually sign players on free contracts. Do you know what I mean? So they were trying to cash in on this player, and then obviously to get me in, and then obviously the player refused to leave, and it actually got to a point where there was a transfer fee agreed with another club for that player, and so that was agreed. He went down to do his medical, done his medical, came down to personal terms, and he just said, no, I'm not going. And at that point, my agent at the time was telling me, look, make sure you're ready. This deal is going to happen in the next 2 or 3 days. And St. Mirren actually came up to Northern Ireland for a training camp that year. They played Linfield and Glentoran in a training camp. I was actually meant to be a part of that training camp. But this guy didn't leave. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it couldn't happen. So, do you know what I mean? I was actually meant to play against Linfield and Glentoran because they were staying in, I can't remember what hotel they were staying in, so I was meant to drive up from Dublin and play and sign and obviously and be a part of the training camp and play against Linfield and Glentoran. And again, the player wouldn't leave, and
just another one of them things that
the move just never happened. Do you know what I mean? And it's just one of them things. And at the point, people were like, "Oh, he's gone to Glentoran for the money and all this type of stuff." And I didn't really comment on it too much because
it's a lot of the questions that we got asked as well.
Because I didn't comment on it too much because what's the point? People already have their own agenda, and in their heads of what they think was the reason why. But if you think about it logically, Larne just won the league, playing in the Champions League, qualifiers and stuff like that. And so am I going to risk 6 weeks of not getting paid, right? And 6 weeks of not getting paid, giving up Champions League football, giving up being a part of the team that just won the league to sign for an extra whatever amount for Glentoran. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. My ambition was to play across the water and stuff like that, and that was what was going to happen until these situations I've spoke to you about happened.
Yeah.
And then obviously at the time, word gets out that you're not going across anymore and stuff like that, and now you're looking back at home thinking, what were the options at home? Obviously there was options in the League of Ireland, but they were halfway through their season and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so obviously I've kind of always said to Larne that if it didn't happen across the water, I'd kind of I'll let them know that, look, I'm not going across anymore and stuff like that. And just at the point, I just thinking I've been there 5 years and stuff like that, and just the way dealings were happening with people in the club and stuff like that, I just wasn't happy with it. I mean, and that's just being honest. I'm not going to go into too much detail with it, but I just wasn't happy with the way they were behaving with me after giving them 5 years of kind of like service. Do you know what I mean? And so I said, look, if they're going to behave like that, and even at that point, I remember my agent saying to me that Glentoran want to have a conversation with you. I goes, no. I said, I don't want to have the conversation. I said, I'm going back to Larne. I don't want to have the conversation. I don't even want to get into a conversation where they're actually trying to convince me to come. I don't even want to be in that situation, because we're human beings. You get convinced by, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. Da, da, da. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. So I said, I don't even want to be in that situation. I don't even want to get convinced, because, and then like I said, the situation with Larne was kind of, I wasn't happy with what was going on. So I said, look, probably no harm in having the conversation, and had the conversation with Glentoran, and honestly just showed how much they wanted me, and kind of like convinced me about their project and stuff like that, and obviously how I could influence things and stuff like that, and obviously how winning a league for Larne is one thing, obviously the first time in their history, but winning a league for Glentoran is a completely
it's
different kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean?
Entire the east side of the city.
It's completely different. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that was one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, if they want me that badly, then let's do the deal.
Did any other clubs show interest?
Yeah, there was a few other clubs in the Irish League. That but it was too late in the day when they realised that I was going to Glentoran. I mean, I kind of had my mind made up, and then I just said, yeah, let's do the deal.
Go.
And I remember when I was actually on the way up to sign for Glentoran, I phoned Larne and said, look, I'm signing for Glentoran in the morning. Do with that information what you want. And that was it.
That's it. So you are a year and a half into your time at Glentoran now. You're third in the league.
Yeah.
You're doing well. Can't say ish.
Yeah.
Ish. Well, you're in the European spots, which again for the Irish League is a big thing.
Yeah.
Last season you were on and off a wee bit. How do you think your overall time so far at Glentoran is going?
And I suppose it's been a good experience in terms of how things have kind of unfolded a bit. I don't think you realise how big the club is until you're actually in it.
Yeah.
The fan base and stuff like that, and how demanding they are and stuff, irrespective of what the club's budget is, what players they have. Glentoran fans are always going to be demanding of success, because that's what they're used to, and that's just the bottom line of it. Do you know what I mean? I suppose last year was a bit up and down. Obviously didn't achieve anything as a club, which kind of hurt me, I suppose, because you always want to be striving for the best. And I suppose this year has been a kind of like a breath of fresh air in terms of how things have been run at the club, and how things have been done, and how professional everything is this year. So we're like I said, we're going well. We're third. Obviously, are we in the position that I personally, or as a team, we want to be? No, we're not. But we're progressing. It's not easy losing 14 players, and then bringing 10, 12 new players in, and trying to get them to integrate, trying to get them to get along, trying to get them singing off the same hymn sheet and playing the same kind of way and stuff like that. And it's not easy. Do you know what I mean? It's going to take time. Like I said, I learned it wasn't just an overnight thing as well. It took 2, 3, 4 years of building before you actually won the league. So I think I kind of have that same feeling now at Glentoran that I had at Larne, where we were kind of like pushing towards something, pushing on an upward trajectory, pushing towards positivity and making the club successful again.
see from where you are in the change room, is there a clear vision
Yeah.
and strategy
Yeah.
to where you want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% now. 100% now. In terms of where the club want to be, the kind of people they're recruiting. In terms of, I think recruitment is the most important part of any football club. But I think now we're recruiting good people as well as good players. I think before maybe, because listen, it's common knowledge that Glentoran has an owner that has a lot of money, and at the time they were just signing the best players in the league, not probably thinking, look, what type of person is this person? Are they good for a changing room? Are they motivated? What are they motivated by, and stuff like that? And I suppose now it's a bit different. It's, are you a good person as well as a good player? What are your ambitions? What's your personality like? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that'll only improve the team and overall improve the club.
That kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask you just about 3 qualities you look for in a player when they come through the door, but you said there your personality and your ambition and stuff like that there. Do you think in Glentoran you have the recipe for success within the next 1 to 2 years, or do you think it's going to be a longer term project?
I think I wouldn't necessarily say we're ahead of schedule in terms of where we are, because we're sitting third in the league. But in terms of how the actual club from the inside has progressed, we're on the right path. In terms of like the infrastructure, the things behind the scenes that are that people don't see. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like the gym, the analysis.
I've seen on a few lads' stories, your gym looks quite good.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to use that anytime you
Like the gym, the analysis stuff, the stat sports and all the kind of nutrition and all the type of stuff and the food that we eat. I think that has progressed a lot from where it was. I think they're the type of things that probably money needed to be put into in the past. Do you know what I mean? You can't build a house without strong foundations.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You should have put the foundations in place first and then start building a house in terms of like players or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't think the club was built on strong foundations in the past.
Yeah.
And now it's been built on strong foundations, and
painting or like, what's the term? Painting over cracks.
Yeah,
Basically just by signing big players and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that was for immediate success, which probably Ali wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know the ins and outs of the conversations he would have been having with the manager at the time. He probably wanted instant success and be like, look, I want to win the league now. Go and get the best players to win the league. But sometimes that doesn't work out. Do you know what I mean? Not every time a club has money, they spend it well. And not every time a club has money, they sign the best players, it works out. Do you know what I mean? I personally feel like the strong foundations should have been put in place at the start, and then build on. I think that's what the club is trying to do now, and that's why you see there's a lot more positivity. There's a bigger buzz, and there's a more of a togetherness in the club at the moment.
Last question, which I'll ask you regarding the Irish League and kind of Glentoran before the quickfire ones. Are you going to sign a contract? What's the plans for the Glens? Like, a lot of people have been asking questions just about, are you going to sign a contract? Where are you going? You're being put on the spot. But what does the future have in hold career-wise for Fuad Sule?
If I signed for Glentoran tomorrow, I'd be happy. I'd be a happier man. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. But I tend to see things out till the end of the season, take stock of things, reflect, and see how the season went, the good things, the bad things, and stuff like that. I tend to make decisions in the summer. Just to see what I really, really want to do. I think I'm coming to an age now where you kind of like want to start a family and you want to do things and stuff like that. And that they're kind of like now factors that you have to take on board when you're making these decisions. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't think a decision will be made by me until the summer. And that's just the way it is, and that's just the way I operate. But if I stayed at Glentoran for the next 2-3 years, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all.
100%. I'll just ask you just a few questions just about your mindset and kind of your character as a person. What does discipline mean to you?
I think discipline means doing things that people don't want to do.
Doing things that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Are you self-motivated, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you able to,
Yeah, I don't need a lot of, come on, Fuds, let's go. I don't need a lot of that. You know what I mean? I just kind of know myself, what motivates me, what gets me going, what makes me want to be successful. Because I'm quite an ambitious person on all aspects of my life. Do you know what I mean? Not just football, and I want to make the most of my life as I can.
Yeah.
Because we're only here a short time, do you know what I mean? So might as well give it your all, I suppose.
What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience.
Is there
So
ever
I think resilience is what you do, or how you act when your back's against the wall.
Yeah. There's actually, I've spoken about it before on a podcast. I was actually from like John Cena, and he just says a man's character is not tested when he's like living the high life. It's when he's down the dumps and his back
100%.
is against the wall, and,
Yeah.
and that is true. What does leadership mean to you?
Leadership. Leadership is a good one. I suppose it's just setting a good example.
Yeah.
Setting a good example for people to follow.
Would the Fame Master do that there? Like, are you the leader in the changing room? Would you be?
I'm one of
one of
there's 4 or 5
senior
5,
players?
6 senior players that are kind of like, even though I wouldn't say I'm a senior in terms of age, but like maybe the
Experience.
way, yeah, I suppose. I think I've took on a bigger role this year at Glentoran, and the manager wanted me to take on a bigger role and stuff like that in terms of that aspect. And I think I'm actually quite enjoying it and stuff like that. And I suppose being a good example for the younger lads or the other players is the best way to lead.
What is 3 qualities that you possess? Like good qualities. I think it's always hard to talk about yourself in a positive light at times, but I think especially because of your work ethic and then the way you're able to bounce back and stuff like that there. So that's why I would like to hear the qualities that you think you possess that are good and beneficial.
I'd say good work ethic in kind of all aspects on the football pitch, in life. I'm never one to kind of like just be putting the feet up, watching TV. I'm always thinking, mine's always on overdrive, thinking of what things I could do to be successful, things I can do to kind of like give myself the best life I possibly can. So good work ethic. Say ambitious. Always been ambitious. Always kind of like shoot for the stars. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Trying to be as I suppose crazy in terms of the way you dream as you possibly can.
Be obsessed.
Yeah, just be obsessed and be. Yeah, just wanted to be the best at everything you kind of do. Like, you know what I mean? And the third one probably. I'd say a good personality.
A good personality.
Yeah. Like to have a laugh, like to have a joke, like to.
You have to, like, especially I'd say during times where like tension and maybe your back's against the wall, you need to show a bit of humour. You need to show a bit of like smile in the face of adversity. Yeah.
That's what I suppose from that. So I say I have a good personality. Just not even just in the football changing, just in general.
In general.
I mean,
100%. Just before we go on to the quickfire ones, you're a PT as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not
anymore, but I was, PT.
Are you aware?
I do have my qualifications. Like.
I was going to say just to shout out your PTM page, but if you're not back into it, we'll give you a shout out like another time.
Another time, yes, pal.
So, quick fire questions. The best player you've played with?
Best player I've ever. At all clubs?
All clubs.
Mark Randall.
Yeah. Larne. Best player played against? In the Irish League. So this is.
Best player played against in the Irish League. I'll probably say Mark Randall as well,
Mark Randall.
Because I've played against him,
Who would you say is there any player there, so this is not in the questions, but is there any player there that you didn't expect to be as good, and when you came up against him you were like, fuck, he's good?
Oof. I'm trying to think of people I'm kind of like directly up against on a weekly basis. Who I didn't think would was as good, and I was like, oh. I think our keeper this year.
Your keeper, yeah.
Yeah, I've not played against him, but he kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah.
He is top drawer.
Lethal.
Honestly, he is. Really,
The Glens have
really
always seemed to have got good keepers, like because like I remember they had that Gibraltar International and stuff like that there like years ago.
Nah, Dan is really
yeah.
good. Dan is too good for this level. That's just the honest truth. Because obviously I see what he does on a day-to-day basis in training.
He's quality.
Like that. But obviously, when he came in pre-season, you're still kind of looking to see, okay, what everybody's good at. You know what I mean? Subconsciously, you're kind of like judging people, thinking like, okay, what's he good at? Let's see what you're about, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's not easy coming into a new change room, but he's surprised me a lot. Not that I didn't think he'd be good, but I just didn't think he would be that good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. Best trainer,
At Glentoran,
Glentoran.
best trainer.
You can say yourself as well.
I put myself up there.
Yourself.
Put myself up there just because of kind of take it very seriously, take training seriously when I do train. But other than best trainer, Niall McGinn.
Now again.
Niall McGinn. Yeah. Actually, I'll
That's
put Niall number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Niall, very good in training.
Worst
Very,
trainer.
Very good. Worst trainer. Wait, at Glentoran now?
Yeah.
I have no problem calling boys out. Like, worst trainer. Trying to think, who's the worst trainer? Who do I get onto the most?
Who's got the most fans?
Frankie Vid. I'm gonna go Frankie.
Frankie.
Great talent though. 20 years of age, good player, but trainer.
Nah.
Yeah.
Does he show up on game days? But not
Yeah. Some people are just like that.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Like Hazard.
Yeah.
Like you hear that there all the
Some
time
people
about
are just
Hazard.
like that.
Your favourite match to be involved in?
Ever?
Yeah. So if you could go into one match now to be involved in that you've played, what's your favourite match?
It would be between Bowes Rovers and Glentoran, I suppose.
You have to give me one. Bowes or Rovers or Glens Anfield?
I'd probably say Bowes and Rovers now,
Bowes, yeah.
just because I haven't experienced it in a while.
And the
And I've
crowds
played
they play.
Linfield about 17 times in 2 years, mate. So kind of know how that goes. I know the gig with that now, but I think Bowes Rovers now because Bowes Rovers in Tallaght Stadium, just because they get massive crowds now. So
Yeah.
I suppose I'd like to experience that again.
Best goal scored?
Oh, horrendous question, mate. I don't
I
score.
know, I know.
I don't score. Probably volley against Newry.
Volley against Newry.
Volley against Newry, yeah.
Who's the toughest team you've played? Just like a team in general.
What, at any
Like,
club I've played
yeah, like best quality of team. Because I'd say you've played against like a good
Yeah.
Dundalk team and stuff like
Yeah.
that there back in the day.
for? Yeah, that Dundalk team are really, really good. And in England, who did we play against? Who won the league that year? I'd say probably Dundalk.
Dundalk.
Yeah, Dundalk were really good that year.
Your death row meal, 3 courses.
3-course death row meal. Starter, give me a duck salad. Duck salad.
I was expecting wings there. Everyone says
Yeah,
wings.
wings. To be fair, I'm a wing man. Like, but
Yeah.
give me a duck salad. Main. Give me some jollof rice. That's rice from Nigeria. Really, really nice. You should try it. And dessert, get me.
No chicken with the rice, just rice by itself.
Oh yeah, obviously rice,
yeah.
rice and chicken,
Rice,
something like
chicken,
that. Yeah. And for dessert, what do I look as a dessert? What's this show called? Cookie dough.
Cookie dough.
Cookie dough, vanilla ice cream on top.
Here you can't.
Yeah.
Like you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to mess that one up. So your favorite movie?
I'm not really a movie man, you know. Favorite movie. I'm trying to think. A movie that I was like, yeah, that's a bit of me. I suppose the classics like Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank, yeah.
Shawshank.
That's a safe option there.
Yeah. I was being safe there, I'll be honest with you. Yeah.
So your favorite series?
Oh, favorite series.
Because there's so much good series out there actually.
There's Prison Break. There's
Prison Break, sorry.
There's Game of Thrones. There's Suits. Prison Break.
Prison Break.
Yeah.
That's another safe option. That is the first 2 seasons of Prison Break are unbelievable.
Undefeated.
3's
Undefeated.
decent enough at Panama
Yeah.
one, but I think 4 just kind of
Yeah.
went over.
Yeah.
And then I didn't watch. They got new
You
ones.
didn't watch the
as well.
last one?
No.
To be fair, the last one was good.
Was good.
Last one was good, yeah.
Might have to give it a watch.
Yeah,
but
last
you
one
have
was
to restart the entire thing. You
Yeah,
can't just like
yeah.
pick up there.
Yeah.
You have to watch the entire thing.
Yeah.
So, last question. Give me an Irish League 5-a-side team. No Glentoran players allowed.
In goals, I'm going to go with my mate, Rowan Ferguson. I'm going to go with... Centre-backs that I really like. Centre-backs, Jimmy Callagher. I'll go Mark Randall. I'll go Andy Ryan. And I'll go need a kind of like a winger. Trying to think. Give me Joe Cooper.
Solid team.
Yeah.
That is. Fuad, thank you very much for coming on. That there was very enjoyable. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming up here to the Sticks.
100%.
First guest in the new studio. So thank
Great
you very
studio,
much.
mate. Brilliant.
Appreciate it.
All the best for the future, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
What's up, man?